discover your passion for movies?
That's an interesting question. As a kid, I was always writing a lot, and also taking pictures from a very early age. Photography was a passion of my father, so growing up, I think I started combining things. So that's how it was very amatorial, let's say. Amateur at the beginning, during my university studies, and from then on I kept on improving. I mean, but yeah, then filmmaking is just one of the medium that I use in my artistic practice. But yes, it came from mixing up all the other passions for the other medium.
Because you're also a visual artist, and I was interested if you like to take as the storyteller. You're more interested in the story, the text, or the image? How the visual things combine?
I wouldn't be able to say what comes first, actually. I think they are complementary often. I always try not to be too didascalic in the images and in the text. So if one says something, the other has to add something to it, not to show the same thing, either the text or the image. And text itself, for me, it's a very important visual element. My film is full of text to read. And I really like to not just work with text in the written format to prepare a film or to prepare, but it also is a very important visual component of the image itself. So.
And you also have your own film association, isn't it? On Docs.
Yes.
You founded it. How did you start it? Your own company? Is it a company?
It's not a company. It's a cultural
NGO.
It's a cultural association,
okay.
And well, we founded. We were three, me, Andrea, and Cristina, and we founded it when I was living in Bari. They are both from Bari. Now I don't live there anymore, but the association keeps on working a lot. We mostly promote documentary in a broad sense, so it can be photography, film, especially film, but I mean we are not restricting the field too much. And what we do is working a lot in workshops with school, making documentary workshops with children of different age and teenage and high schools, and working with them in organizing programs, film screenings, and also independently from this, organizing film screenings and films exhibitions. So
the educational context is really important. So for documentaries, right?
Yeah, to me in general, educational context is very important. Also as an artist, I realize that I'm going more and more toward a more relational practice, including the educational process and component in the work, in the practice. And also for the films in general, I think that films and video and the final artifact, it's only a medium to convey a message that then need to be discussed and experienced through a more educational and relational process.
And tell me, how did you get inspired to create this documentary, rolling tonight, screening tonight?
It's a very long. It's a part of a very long project. It lasted, let's say, 10 years now. It was part of my master thesis. It's something very personal. I think the project became a trigger to work on something I felt the need to discover as a human being. So this part of my personal stories, my belonging to some place or not, what was my real cultural background. And as I wasn't so much connected with that part of my family, I really felt I needed an excuse somehow to get in touch with them again and to work on this topic. That was very important for me as a person before that, as an artist. Then this was the motivation behind it as the topic and why. in general, the sense of belonging, what is home, migration are topics I work a lot in all my practices. So then visually, I think it's also, this film, I think it's an arrival point to a sum of my different medias, different media that I use, or different way I express myself. It's a kind of yes, a turning or an arrival point where it sums up a bit of everything. So in all these 10 years, I think I took all the pieces I needed and I put them all together to create this film.
As an artist, do you feel, you know how actors especially are, they feel like they have to improve all the time on stage, or they don't like to see themselves in the movie because they wanted to do the role the other way. Do you feel the same way when you watch your movie for, I don't know, many times?
Yes, I mean...
You need to change there, you need to...
First of all, I really don't like to see my movies.
Okay.
That's I have really difficulties in watching them with the audience. I mean, because I'm very shy, and I always start. Most of my works are coming from an autobiographical reference, so they are also very personal, and it's something I'm shy to share. Yeah, I feel very exposed. That's also. I mean, I'm aware I'm exposing myself, but it's always a bit weird because they are not just watching your work, but they're watching you somehow. They're getting to know you through your work. So I always feel a bit, yes, too overexposed somehow.
But I feel it's very, I don't know, it's great that you travel with your movie and you get the chance to meet different audiences. Do you remember from other festivals some kind of reaction or question that you received during a screening, after a screening?
Well, that's very true, and I'm very grateful of this. I'm very tired of traveling, but I'm very grateful because I'm meeting so many interesting people and I'm getting so many feedbacks about my work, and most of them are very positive, and that's very rewarding after so much work and so much effort and energy. Yes, it's like very, well, most of them are curious about what happened to the main character, one of the main characters, because it's not stated, but I can't say much, otherwise people won't see the film. That's always one of the first questions. That and questions about our relation, because my film developed around this chat dynamic between me and a person I met through the internet and never in real life yet, living in Tripoli, Libya today. Then they want to know how him and my grandparents perceived, so their reactions to the film, and then they ask me a lot about the current situation in Libya, and so these are a bit the most often asked questions.
But you don't remember a certain reaction, I don't know, maybe from somebody living in Libya?
Yeah, that was a very good reaction in Chicago. At the end of a screening, a guy came to me, and he was living in Chicago but coming from Libya, and he wanted to take a picture together, and he was very happy to have watched the film because he was already a long time he was away from his country, and through the film he got the possibility to see it back somehow. He felt very much connected, so he was very grateful and very happy to have watched the film. And then in Helsinki also a woman came to me at the end of a screening, and she was very moved by the film. She was crying and thanking me a lot for having portrayed Tripoli, where she lived in recent years before the Arab Spring, and she was missing it a lot, and she couldn't go back since then. So through the film she got to see again her city, and so these are the two I remember quite clearly. And yeah, many times there were people really coming to me to say thank you for your work, and I was like, wow, I did it not for myself, but I wanted to convey a message. I think it's very clear. I think my standing point in a political way, it's very clear. It's a very political film, even if it's not explicitly political. So the fact that people come to me and just to say thank you for doing it, it's a big reward for me.
That's right, especially that you worked at it for a decade.
Yeah.
It's a tremendous amount of work. Tell me about this One Romania experience so far. How do you feel that your movie was selected in a festival for human rights?
Well, that was very important for me because in general it's a topic I'm very sensitive to, and my work is not directly addressing the topic, but I think it's a narrative line that is pretty clear. What I'm highlighting a certain situation that need to be taken care of a bit more. So that was very rewarding in the sense that it's recognized in that way from a festival that's focusing on human rights, and it's very important for the film. Then I've never been to. I mean, it's not true. I realized I've been to Bucharest before, just last night, because I was here as a kid with my grandma, and I had some flu memories about it. So when she phoned me the other grandma, not the one in the film. She called me every night around dinner time. So last night I asked her, but did we were here in Bucharest? She was, yes, for one night, many years ago. So that's weird. I'm kind of rediscovering my memories through being here as an adult this time. And it's very interesting. And I think this festival is very well organized. And I had this assistant or guide. It's a volunteer that came to pick me up at the airport, and he showed me then around the city. He was very helping, and it's wonderful. It's really, I feel very welcome in this festival.
It is actually the festival, the only film festival in Bucharest with this niche, the documentary niche for human rights. And this is my 5th year doing interviews.
Ah, nice.
Yes, and I was fascinated by their also so work organized, so people friendly. How do you say?
Yeah, and I read also in the catalog there is this call for action somehow from the director of the festival. I think it's a brilliant text. I really feel aligned with that.